mission. What kind of sexual casting creates a firefighter who looks like you should see in the movies, right? And this guy comes running up to the stage, jumps up there, never heard him speak before. I'm not even sure how many speeches he did before. And he got up there and he said, Governor Walker tried to keep us out of this deal. He said, you guys aren't, your benefits, your pay is not affected. But we firefighters, we're not trained to run away from a crisis. We're trained to run towards the crisis. Governor Walker's trying to burn down the House of Labor, and we're here to put the fire out. What kind of amazing movement is it that would produce this young man running up to stand there on that podium, giving people the confidence to fight on, showing the power of solidarity, and now he is the Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin. They got the firefighters in the cops. My gosh, he's the cop. Everybody does it like, oh, the cops, I don't know. Here, the cops are on the side. Your sheriff. Is your sheriff still there? Right here. Your sheriff. Is the governor because he said, you know, I wasn't elected to be the sheriff by the governor. I wasn't put in this position by the monarch. I was elected by the people. I'm not the leader of the palace guard. I represent the people of Rock County. And he made me know. He made me think that we had this whole plan for when COVID came out. We were going to have the 14 senators come over the border, and then they'd be met by Rock County sheriff's deputies who would escort them to the Dade County line, and Sheriff Dave Mahoney would escort them to the Capitol, so that they would be under the protection of folks who weren't the palace guard, but would take them to do their job up there, and didn't have to employ your services. But I understand from Sheriff Mahoney that he said that the one day he would be willing to serve as the palace guard would be the day, I believe it is maybe June 6th, when Governor Walker's going to need the people to have a say. Let me just circle this around. I just want to finish this important thought here. And that is that they really did believe that we weren't going to hold together. They really did believe that this thing didn't have state government. They really did believe the public and private sector workers would not stand together. And one of those incredible moments of it came very early on. The New York Times. Now, I've written for the New York Times. I get it. I read it, you know, and so I don't have to pick out. I think it's just emblematic of a lot of other publications. And in fact, a lot of our national media. Unlike Nichols and a few other folks who actually came here and paid real attention to it. The New York Times, they were just watching for a while, and they find, well, things are kicking up out there in Wisconsin. We better send a reporter out there. So the reporter, you know, they went down, they went to the locker, and they got the flak jacket and the topographical maps and the phrase books and stuff. And that's really how East Coast media covers Wisconsin. It's sort of like they cover Africa. So we have to learn the names of the capitals, you know. And so they parachute this New York Times reporter in, you know. He lands in that. There's tens of thousands of people surrounding the Capitol. He looks at it and says, well, that's not the story. You know, I got to get out of here. So that reporter drove out of Madison and went to Janesville. Not kidding. No, they came to Janesville. And we said he's looking for a worker, right? A private sector worker. So, of course, midday winter tavern. And so we talk working people, right? So he goes into this tavern, and he's got his phrase book, and he goes, hello, worker. The guy on the bar stool says, yes, I am a worker. And he goes, you must hate teachers a lot, right? And the guy's like, yeah, I hate teachers. And so you must hate public sector workers because they bring their yachts across the lake to get their checks, and they get all the pensions and everything. You don't get anything, and you must be really angry with them and agree with Governor Walker. And the guy in the bar stool goes, yeah, I agree with Governor Walker. I'm sick of paying taxes, and, our schools are too good, and I don't think we really need snowfall. And, but bottom line, he gave this whole interview where he said, I'm a private sector worker. And he had this whole line. He said, I used to work at the GM plant down here, and it got closed, and then I worked for some other places, and I'm a proud UAW member. Hold that. You read this thing. I got that the next day. I'm at home, I'm reading it. I'm like, damn. Screw the UAW, man. I'm a member. I don't like that this guy would say that. I was kind of bummed out, I was really sad. And, because I thought we had all this solidarity stuff going on. And then, amazingly enough, Governor Walker gets that call from the Koch brothers. Sort of, not Koch brothers, but maybe Koch brothers, right? And the Koch brother guy in that phone call, he's there, he says, you read the transcript in the middle of it, the Koch brother guy goes, how's the media treating you out there? And he says, oh, well, Fox has been good to me, and he said, what about the New York Times? Walker says in the interview, he says, well, there was this article on the front page of the New York Times about this town south of here, Janesville. Oh, wow, it was fabulous. They had this UAW guy saying how he thought I was great. Everything I was doing was great. I had that photocopied. I had it given to every member of the legislature. I love that article. I'm thinking, oh, man, I thought Janesville, I'm getting kind of mad at Janesville. And then, a couple days later, I opened my New York Times. Not on the front page where that article was in, but on the inside second page, down by the hemorrhoid. There's a little tiny correction. And it says, about that article from Janesville, Wisconsin. Turns out that the guy we had, the woman sitting there reading it in the book there. I put this in the book, yes. Turns out the guy that we interviewed, we should have probably done this before we published it on the front page of the biggest newspaper in the country, but it turns out that when we checked his employment records, he'd never worked for GM. And it also turned out he hadn't worked in any of the other factories that we could check there. And we did finally get around to contacting the United Auto Workers, and it turns out that they never had a guy by this name on their membership. And so we're kind of sorry because everything we wrote was wrong. Well, Janesville is redeemed. And the UAW is redeemed. But that lie, that fantasy, that private sector workers would not support public sector, that stayed out there. And I thought to myself, how could the New York Times have gotten that story? What would they have done to get that story? What possible thing could they have done? And then it occurred to me, I'm not that bright, it took me a couple days, but it came to me. And I thought, the reporter could have stayed in Madison, Wisconsin, outside the Capitol, where day after day, members of United Auto Workers Local 95 and the retirees from Janesville, Wisconsin, marched with their banners in solidarity with the workers at the Capitol. Folks, I'm just going to tell you this. They're going to tell you again and again and again that you are not united, that you got reasons to dislike each other, that you shouldn't be working together, that it isn't going to work, that it isn't possible. They will tell you that every single day. But you need to stop listening to their lies and start looking at the reality around you. They told you this governor could come and take away basic union rights, attack education and public services, and nothing would happen. You put 180,000 people in front of the Capitol on the day that Tim Cullen came back and proved them wrong. You built a movement to survive this Capitol. They told you that you could not possibly collect 540,000 signatures, the highest percentage signature part in any state in the country. They told you you couldn't do that in the middle of winter, over Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. They didn't understand that on those days when families gather together, Wisconsinites quickly realized that they don't like their families that much.